And next up on this UFC card, we've got Nikolas Motta facing Trey Ogden, with both fighters looking to get back up to 500 in their UFC careers. Both guys now 1-2 in the UFC. One guy in Motta has never seen it go to the cards, while Ogden has never not seen it go to the cards. All three of Ogden's fights have gone to the cards so far, and while Motta has finished his only win in Cameron Van Camp, no longer with the UFC, while getting knocked out by Jim Miller and Manuel Torres. Whereas Trey Ogden lost to Jordan Levitt later on the card by split decision, beat Daniel Zellhuber in the middle, who I'll talk to in a little bit, and then struggled really badly against Ignacio Bahamondes. And really, the story for Ogden in this clash of styles is his BJJ. He's the trainer at his gym, and he's a submission specialist. While he can stand on the feet and his boxing is decent, it's not really dangerous. And that's really what that Ignacio Bahamondes fight highlighted, was the range in Bahamondes really kept Ogden at bay, and we didn't even really see Ogden try for takedowns in that fight. He stood at range, tried to disengage as much as he could, but every time he got in close, it was a speed disadvantage, which happens against Bahamondes, but also a damage disadvantage too. I mean, he looked like the slower fighter. He was struggling with the range, and that's not something that he's going to deal with as much in this Motta fight. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not that boxing improves. But what he does have to deal with is Motta's power. Motta does have power, and yes, he can get hit. He's not really going to get hit and dropped by Ogden. If you want your Hail Mary bet, it's probably Ogden by knockout. He's never gotten one in his career. I don't see it happening here. But I do see Motta having some trouble on the ground if it goes to the ground. Now, on the feet, Motta has 9 knockouts, 0 submissions. So there's a clear advantage for both fighters when it comes to on the feet versus on the ground. And this actually was scheduled for earlier this year, but it was delayed because of how bad the knockout was to Motta from Torres. So could Ogden crack him? Is that chin getting worse and worse? Maybe. We do know that Motta's defensively poor. He's hittable. And so we'll see if Ogden can be able to mix up the striking and the wrestling to be able to get it to the mat. Because once it goes to the mat, this fight's as good as over. But just a weird clash of styles here. Andy, I'd love to hear what you have on this fight or your takeaway on clashes of styles in general. But yeah, I think it's a really tight fight.
Yeah, I think that we, like last week with UFC 295, we do have a couple of these clash of styles on this card too. And this is one that gets me really excited because I do tend to lean Ogden here. I don't have a bet on this one, but I do really strongly feel that is the right pick to select him to win this fight. I just feel like with Motta, yeah, you're getting the power that he brings, right? But it does feel a bit one-dimensional. And yes, Ogden is not necessarily two-dimensional, three-dimensional, as versatile as some of the other guys on this card, which isn't saying a lot. But he is he is such stumbling over my words here. He is so good on the mat that I feel like it can make the difference. And when it comes to these BJJ guys taking on traditional strikers or guys who are literally just going to lean on their power, I'm always going to lean the BJJ guy. These guys know when to catch you when you're throwing a certain way, when to dive in or try to find a creative angle to jump into you when you move a certain way with striking. That's the name of the game with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I like Ogden here. The speed is a little bit of a, I guess, concern of mine, and that's probably why I'm not going to throw money on it for my own card. I might do like a personal play, but for my own card, for the purpose of the podcast, I'm not going to do anything with this one. Again, it's more so a skill set thing for me. And the clash of styles, I'm always going to tend to take the BJJ guy unless somebody's striking is world class. And don't think Motta's striking is world class, I have to say.
No, I don't really either. It's the volume of Motta that scares me too, and his propensity to throw a lot of kicks. He's got good kicks, but in a fight against a guy like Ogden who can catch one, flip you, get you taken down real quick, that's where the issue could come. And he's got decent takedown defense, but I just think that for him to get going offensively, he's going to have to put himself out there a little bit and get taken down or be at risk of getting taken down. And I think that low volume as well as that likely apprehension to throw those kicks will result in either a more boring affair that's a lot closer on the feet than it really should be, or you end up getting Ogden on the mat. So I've got a half unit on Ogden. He's slight plus money. This is close odds as well at plus 108. But I've also got the under 2.5. I think that one of these guys is going to be able to have their way and then run to a decision or run to a finish. And so I've got under 2.5 at minus 135. I've got that for a full unit, and then Ogden at plus 108 for a half unit. So I'm going with Ogden. Andy's going with Ogden. Next up, we've got Uros Medic versus, blanking on it, Johnny Parsons.
Johnny Parsons.
And we will see you on the main card next.